Okay, so if you're a coach or an advisor, you know this feeling, right? That frustration when you give out this brilliant, totally actionable advice, and then your client just doesn't follow through. Well, today we're going to dive into the science of bridging that exact gap, the one between a great strategy and getting real, tangible results for your clients. I mean, that's the big question, isn't it? You can lay out the most perfect roadmap in the world, but if the person behind the wheel doesn't actually turn the key, you're just not going anywhere. The thing is, the problem usually isn't the advice. It's almost never the advice. It's something much, much deeper, something hidden that's really holding them back from their own potential. And that brings us to this really powerful way of thinking about it, the iceberg approach. You see, most traditional consulting, well, it works on the 10% that you can see, what's above the waterline. We're talking strategies, tactics, business plans. But the real leverage, the massive 90% that actually determines if someone succeeds or fails, that's everything lurking below the surface. We're talking about their fears, their deep-seated habits, and all those cognitive biases. So if you really want to create lasting change, if you want to unlock a client's full potential, you have to have a tool that lets you dive below that waterline. You've got to stop just treating the symptoms and actually start diagnosing the root cause. And that, right there, is where MindScan comes in. It's like giving you professional-grade sonar to see what's really going on in the depths. Now, you might be thinking, oh, I've used personality tests before. And that's the crucial difference here. Look, standard tests are pretty good at putting a label on what someone does. But MindScan? It's totally different. It doesn't just label the behavior, it actually measures the thinking patterns that cause the behavior in the first place. It's the difference between describing how a car performs and actually popping the hood to see how the engine works. And this isn't some made-up theory. This thing is built on a rock-solid scientific foundation. MindScan is based on the Hartman Value Profile, which was developed by Dr. Robert S. Hartman, a Nobel-nominated scientist. Seriously, think of it like a diagnostic MRI, but for leadership. It gives you this incredibly precise, objective look at how your client's mind is actually wired to make decisions and see the world. And you can see the impact right here in what people say about it. Clients feel empowered by this, not pigeonholed. They're not just handed some 4-letter acronym and told, this is you. Instead, they get this deep awareness of their own internal operating system. And that self-recognition, well, that's the absolute first step to any real breakthrough. The assessment gives you these insights you can use immediately, and it does that by identifying a client's dominant dimension. So, are they a relator who always leads with people in relationships? Or maybe they're a doer, just wired for taking massive action? Or are they a thinker who's brilliant at building systems and plans? Knowing this is literally like being handed the user manual for your client. So, okay, we've seen how powerful this is for the client, but let's talk about you. What's in it for you? Let's get into how becoming a certified practitioner gives you a massive, massive advantage in your practice. It really just boils down to these 3 core benefits. With MindScan, you're going to accelerate your client breakthroughs, you'll be able to scientifically validate the work you do, and you can powerfully differentiate your brand in what is, let's be honest, a very crowded market. Let's dig into that first one, accelerating breakthroughs. Just picture this. You have a client who is brilliant at strategy, but they just never seem to execute. Now, instead of spending months guessing why, MindScan can show you right there in the data a thinking pattern that overvalues planning and undervalues action. With that insight, you can perform what we call a professional factory reset, helping them manage that weakness and start operating from their natural strengths. Second, you can scientifically prove your impact. Look, sophisticated clients, especially in the corporate world, they demand a return on their investment. MindScan gives you hard data. You can literally assess a client before and after you work with them, giving them objective proof of the return on value you delivered. You're no longer just selling a feeling, you're delivering measurable cognitive improvement. It's a game changer. And third, this is how you really differentiate your brand, by using what's called axiological profiling, which is just the scientific study of how people value things and make decisions. You elevate yourself from being a generalist coach to a specialized diagnostic consultant. And that scientific backing, that unique position in the market, that's what allows you to justify higher retainers and lock in longer client engagements. Okay, so you see the value. The next logical question is, all right, how do I actually get this into my business? Let's break down what the certification investment looks like and the super flexible revenue models that are available. So the certification itself is a really straightforward one-time investment of $5,000. And listen, this isn't just another online course. This is a full certification that gives you a powerful diagnostic tool you can use for the rest of your career. And what's really great is that there are no hidden fees, no startup costs, none of that. Your account setup is included at no extra charge, so you can literally get up and running the second you're certified. Now, for how you actually access the reports, the first option is the recurring revenue model. And this one is absolutely perfect for active coaches. You can see there are 3 tiers here. The basic plan, it starts at just $100 a month for 4 reports. But as you move up to basic plus or advanced, you get a lot more reports included and your cost per report drops way down, making it incredibly cost effective if you're using this regularly. But hey, maybe retainers aren't really your thing. So the second option is designed for workshops and seminars. This is a pure pay-as-you-go system. You can buy reports one by one or in these cost-saving batches of 20 or 50. And here's the best part. These report credits never, ever expire. This gives you total flexibility for things like corporate training events, workshops, or even just seasonal client work. So which one do you choose? It's actually super simple. If you have an active coaching practice with ongoing monthly clients, the subscription model is going to give you the absolute best value. If your work is more project-based, you're facilitating workshops or doing large group trainings, then the pay-as-you-go model gives you complete freedom and all the flexibility you need. So here's the bottom line. Getting MindScan certified lets you dramatically increase both the speed and the impact of your client results. It gives you the deep insight you need to help them find that sweet spot where their purpose, their passion, and their profit all line up by maximizing their natural strengths and finally managing those hidden challenges. And honestly, the results really do speak for themselves. You see leaders like CEO Rick Spapio talking about the incredible balance this approach provides. See, it's not just about business tactics. It's a holistic method that drives results in every part of a client's life because it gets to the very core of how they think. Ultimately, it all comes down to this. As a high-impact professional, your time is way too valuable to be spent guessing. MindScan is your chance to add a scientifically validated diagnostic tool to your practice that's going to deliver faster, deeper, and more profound results for your clients. So, are you ready to make that leap?